All right. Hello and welcome. I am excited to share with you today some insight on the essay questions at Duke's Fuqua School of Business. Happy to have you join today. My name is Allison Jamison. I'm an assistant dean of admissions here at Fuqua. I've been here for 17 years, so I've been doing this a long time, worked that whole time in admissions, and have read thousands of essays. So hoping today that we can provide you some insight into perhaps how to approach your Duke essays and also to highlight some of the new things that we are asking for our applicants this year. So I'll just go ahead and get started. We have a couple of different categories. We have a couple of short answer essays, which I'll also talk about, in addition to having your sort of traditional essay questions. And so I'll talk about both of those. Our longer essay questions are actually the same that they've been in the past, but we'll talk about some strategies of how to approach those, what the committee might be looking for, and some things to keep in mind as you approach preparing for those essays. And then we also have our short answer questions, which are, as the name would imply, shorter, typically just a couple hundred words. But I want to talk about those because a couple of those are new this year. So with that, let me just start with the short answer questions because they are a little bit shorter and we can breeze through those. So we did add a question this year, which is going to ask you about your lived experiences. You just have 200 words to tell us, is there anything that might not have come through in your application that you think would be important for the admissions committee to know about your past, about your upbringing, about your development that might be just doesn't fit in other places in your application. So examples of this might be if you are the first person in your family to go to college, if you grew up in a multi-generational home, if you worked throughout high school and college, if you were deeply influenced by, say, a chronically ill parent or sibling, if you faced hardships financially as you were growing up, you and your family, if you had a very important religious upbringing that has impacted your view of the world. Those are the kinds of things that you can include in that short essay or short answer question. It's just 200 words. If you feel like everything is covered in your application, it is 100% optional. I don't want you to try to think of something to put into that. It's just if you really think there is something that might have influenced maybe your college experience, maybe your professional path, things like that, that's an opportunity for you to do that. The other short answer that is new this year relates to scholarship. So we are in our third year of offering what we call our Fuqua Impact Scholars. And these are merit-based scholarships that align with a particular center of excellence at Fuqua. So these are our CASE, which is the Center for the Advancement of Social Entrepreneurship, Duke Innovation and Entrepreneurship, or Duke I&E, EDGE, which is Energy Development and the Global Environment, which is a sort of climate sustainability and energy focused, COLE, which is the Fuqua Coach K Center for Leadership and Ethics, and the Health Sector Management Program, or HSM. So we have a small number of students each year who have a particular interest or passion in one of those research areas, and they may be selected as a Fuqua Impact Scholar, which comes with varying levels of scholarship, as well as opportunities to engage with those research centers during your time as a student. And sometimes people will have overlapping interests. In fact, it's very common that you might have an interest in sustainability and nonprofit, or healthcare and leadership. So we have added a very short 100 words or less if you are interested in being considered for a Fuqua Impact Scholarship to let us know which of those areas is your primary interest and secondary interest. So if you're interested in that, it's a very quick, short answer to say, my interest is in renewable energy and I would like to be considered for an EDGE Impact Scholar. Very quick, but that's new this year as well. So I wanted to highlight that as well. And then our short answer that we have had for the last several years asks about your career goals. So basically, what do you hope to achieve after completing an MBA? And it is a short answer again. And what we want to see is that you have reflected and done research and you understand the career paths that an MBA might open for you. And you've reflected on that. Maybe you've done some research, you've talked to folks, and you are able to say, I am interested in pivoting into consumer packaged goods with companies like Heinz or P&G or something like that. That can tell us, one, that you've done some research, 2, that you understand the companies that recruit on campus, and 3, that you have thought about what is really important to you. Now, the question that I typically get after that is, what if am I held to that? What if I don't know what I want to do? What if I change my mind? Totally fine. Lots of people do change their mind. And so we just want to see that you spent the time sort of reflecting and that you have an idea of what you might want to pursue at the MBA. So those are our short answer questions. And I do want to pause here for a moment just to say, if you find today's information helpful, we'd love for you to comment and like on the video. That will help other people find it who might be looking for insight into Fuqua's essays. So I'll put that in there, and thank you for that. There is a comments page as well. I see some folks indicating where they're from, which is great. Happy to see you all here. You're welcome to put questions in the comments. I'll see kind of how it goes. I might be able to answer as we go, or I might save those questions until the end. So there's a little bit of background there, but now I want to get back into the longer essay questions, which again are the same for us for the last several years. We have 2 required essay questions and 1 optional. So we're going to go over each of these. The first one that we'll talk about is our 25 things essay. This is one that we've had for, 10 or 12 years now, probably may even be longer. And I don't know if we'll ever change it because everybody loves it and everybody enjoys reading it. And we really feel like this is a great way to get to know students. So there are a couple of logistical things I'll talk about first, and then we'll talk about content. So we are asking for this in a numbered list format, 1 through 25. You have a word limit of 750 words. Don't get too hung up on that. If it's 760, if it is 697, like 750 is a guideline. It's not going to cut it off at 750 words. If you were to go to something like 900 words, probably the committee is going to be like, oh my gosh, did this person look at the instructions? Because we have a pretty good sense for where 750 words is. But we ask you to keep it pretty close to 750 words. There are some applications that actually count numbers as words. So if you are at 775, it's probably the numbers. And again, don't worry about it. We're not going to cut it off at 750 and no more. And then I'm also often asked, am I able to put in pictures or a link to something, a video that I was featured in, or an article that I wrote or something like that? Yes, you can. Not required, but you are welcome to do that. One important note, if you do put in a link to an external source, please type it out. When those applications come to admissions committee members, it's in a PDF basically, and we're not able to click on it. So if you use a shortened link, we're not going to be able to access it. But so just type it out. If you would like someone to look at something outside of your application, perfectly happy to do that. If you want to, again, put in pictures, you can do that. But I think the most common question about the 25 things is like, what are you looking for? What should I write about? And there is no sort of direct answer to this, because what we are looking for is to get to know you, right? We want to see, who are you? What are your motivations? What do you like? What would you be like if I ran into you in the Fox Center or on the Mallway here at Fuqua? So we want to hear about the things that excite you. We want to hear about your passions. We want to hear about your interests, your experiences. If there was a meaningful time for you when you were 5 years old that changed the way you looked at the world, we want to hear about that. So we're going to look at this in conjunction with, of course, the rest of the materials that you have submitted in your application. So we've got, for example, your resume. You don't need to go through the 25 things list and start listing out all of your accomplishments that are already on your resume, right? We have that. But if there was something on your resume that was interesting or had a funny backstory or just didn't quite get all to the details in the resume, then you can talk about it in the 25 things. Sometimes the 25 list item may be a single sentence. Sometimes it's a short paragraph. It is really up to you how you want to do that. I've spoken to our students who, while they're here at Fuqua, and said, like, hey, how did you approach this? What did you do? What was your process? And it is really different across the board. But some of the things that I've heard consistently, I started a list and I started with 10 things. And then I made a goal that every week I would add 5 things to the list until I got to 40. And then I looked at those 40 and I picked the 25 that I thought were most representative. Or I polled friends and family members and said, if you were going to share 3 fun, interesting things about me, what would you say? And collecting them from other people and sort of curating it that way. We've had people who had the number of the list item correspond to what they're talking about. So, 1, the number of times that I won a Nobel Peace Prize or whatever it may be. 10, the number of puppies that are in my house right now, whatever it might be. So that's one tool you can use. We've had people do it alphabetically, do it chronologically. It's completely up to you. And this is where you really get to show yourself. You do want to make sure that you are authentic to who you are. If you are somebody that jokes around and is lighthearted in person, that's great. If you're somebody who is more serious and you don't feel like you're a funny person, this is probably not the time to try out some jokes that you're not used to telling, because we are looking to see, really, does this sound like the person that we have read about through the rest of the application? It can be, and I see a question here, if you are from, say, a different background, maybe in this specific example, someone is a teacher and is wanting to switch careers. I will tell you, most people coming to the Daytime MBA program are switching careers. So it makes a lot of sense, I think, in that 25 things to talk about what was your motivation, what happened during your current career that made you know that now was the time to change. It might fit very well in there. It might fit in the second essay, which we'll talk about in a minute. So it can be a place where you can talk about those motivations and reasons why you are considering business school. I think that some of the common missteps, I would say, that I see are, it can be difficult to write a list of 25 things. And so sometimes you sort of see people peter out at the end, right? They've got this great list of like 18 things. And I'm like, oh, this is so great. And then 19, 20, and 21 are just sort of like, my favorite color is blue. My dog's name is Rover. I grew up in Dayton, Ohio, and it just a bullet right at the end. And it's kind of oh man, I feel like I had all this momentum and then I kind of dropped off at the end. So make your list and then arrange it in a way that makes sense. I do see the question, should it be chronological? Does not have to be at all. Can be any order that makes sense to you. So make sure that as you're reading it, like, is it telling a story? Is it sort of getting across the impression that you want? We are looking for people to be authentic. And so when you are putting together something that is not true to who you are, that does come across. So make sure that it sounds like you. But aside from that, there are really kind of no rules of this essay. It should be reflective of who you are. And, if you are looking around online, you will see a number of examples from current students who have put them in our blogs. You will find some of our staff members. This is something that we actually still do with our staff members who are new to the team as a way to introduce themselves to the rest of our team. I frequently get asked, can you give an example of a memorable 25 thing? And there are a couple that I come back to. One that is a very unique life experience. We had a woman who she graduated, probably 10 years ago now, maybe. When she was 13, she was from Brazil. When she was 13, she literally left home and joined the Moscow Circus as a trapeze artist. Like, that's crazy. I'll always remember that. Now, not everybody has that kind of out there life experience, and we get that. But another sort of memorable one that I will always remember, I had a woman, she and her husband were both applying to Fuqua. They were both in the military and were looking to make that transition. And she said that her goal post MBA was not to be a pillar of society, but rather to be a street light, one who lights the way for those who come behind her. Plus, she said, streetlights get decorated on the holidays, and she'd been in a uniform for a long time. So that was a great way to sort of phrase it in a way that was very memorable. So that is something that you can think about is there something in my list that someone on the admissions committee would remember about me? Not every single one has to be an earth-shattering thing, but something that just helps you be a little bit more memorable. So those are sort of my tips there on the 25 things. Then the second essay that we have is asking you basically, how will you engage at Fuqua as a student? We specifically ask you to address 3 ways that you'll be involved. And the intent of doing that is to make sure that you have spent some time reviewing the offerings and the opportunities that we have at Fuqua. You've thought about the ones that are of interest to you, and you've prioritized them. We used to just say, how will you engage? And we ended up seeing people give us 10, 11, 12 different ways, mentioning every club they could find. And you sort of get lost in that. Plus, we're reading it thinking, there's no way that you can do all of that. Like, you're going to have to choose the things that are most important to you. So that is supposed to reflect your research. If you've spoken to alumni, if you've talked to students, you've looked at the website, you know what you want to achieve post MBA, and you can identify those resources that are going to help you get there. The other important part of that is we're looking to see not just what will you get out of Fuqua, but what will you bring into it. So the really good essays on this one, and we're going to look at an example here in a minute, are ones that focus on not just, hey, I want to be a member of the consulting club, so that will help me get a consulting job. But instead to say, I want to be in the consulting club, I have contacts within the industry that I'm coming from that I think I could bring to the club to share with others who might be interested in learning more about my industry within the consulting realm, something like that. So you have 300 words to do it. So you do have to be judicious with the words that you choose. But that's what we're looking for there, is sort of the give and the take, as well as the research and the self-reflection. And then the final essay that we have is one that is an optional essay. It truly is optional. And this is if there is anything that you feel like needs explanation or that you want to expand on a little bit more. Definitely do not use this as just a place to upload an essay that you wrote somewhere else that you think sounded really good. This would be if, let's say you had one semester in college where your grades went down because you had a traumatic event in your life or an illness. You might want to address it there. If you are taking a new test in a couple of weeks after you submit your application, you can let us know about it there. If your recommendation letter is not coming from your current immediate supervisor, totally fine. Like maybe your boss doesn't know you're applying to business school, great. That this optional essay is the place that you would put something like that as well. So it doesn't have to be a cohesive essay. It can be if you feel like you need to go in depth into something, but if you have a couple things you want to share there, like, I transferred to a different college in my sophomore year because I changed majors and this had a better program. My current supervisor doesn't know I'm applying to business school, so I've asked a former manager, and I am taking the executive assessment on February 1st. You can put all those 3 things as bullets in that optional essay. It is completely up to you how you want to use that optional essay. And most people do not complete it. So if you don't worry about it. You're not missing out on any opportunity there. It really is just there if you need it. So that is, kind of in general, what we're looking for across those essays. We're going to look at a sample essay here in just a second, but before we switch to that, I do want to just give you a couple things to think about what you're trying to convey through all of these essays. I mentioned authenticity, which is really crucial to any MBA program that you're applying to. But spend some time getting to know each of the schools, spend some time getting to know Fuqua, and understand what are the values and the value proposition of each school. So at Fuqua, our dean talks about, we are looking for students who have IQ, so who are intelligent and motivated and able to do the work in a rigorous program, who have EQ or emotional intelligence, which is the understanding of others' viewpoints, where others may be coming from, and then also DQ, which is what we call the decency quotient. And this is not just, do you understand where other people are coming from, but do you want to help other people? Are you looking to use business as a force for good? Are you somebody who will make a choice when faced with one to choose the harder right over the easier wrong? So think about some of those things in your life and in your experience that might speak to those values and address those. And you can be explicit about it, or you can just tell the story and it's, you can tell like, oh, that was a difficult moral dilemma where the person had to choose the higher road or something like that. So keep those in mind as well as you are looking at your essays. Okay, I do want to go over an example because I do think it can be difficult to know, like, what do you mean when you say that? So we have a sample essay over here. I'm going to see if I can zoom in on it a little bit on my computer. See if you guys can see it a little bit better. There we go. So this is our second long essay question. So you see the question here. Fuqua prides itself on cultivating a culture of engagement. Our students enjoy a wide range of student-led organizations that provide opportunities for leadership development and personal fulfillment, as well as an outlet for contributing to society. Our student-led government, clubs, centers, and events are an integral part of the student culture and to the development of leaders. Based on your understanding of the Fuqua culture, what are 3 ways that you expect to contribute? So a couple of things, the question is phrased the way it is intentionally, of course. We're trying to give you some guidance here that what we're looking for, we have student-led organizations, leadership development, personal fulfillment. This includes student government, clubs, centers, and events. Those are all things that you should think about as you are researching Fuqua before you write your answer to this question. So in the sample that we have here, all right, so this one, I think I'll just take it paragraph by paragraph and just kind of give you some insight and some tips as to what we might be thinking. So as I stand on the cusp of a new chapter at Fuqua, I am invigorated by the prospect of immersing myself in a culture that thrives on engagement, leadership, and collaboration. Okay, so restating the question there, fine, recognizing that those are things that we value. My path from an engineering graduate at Caltech to an associate product manager at Google has been a testament to the power of multidisciplinary thinking and the value of connecting with like-minded individuals. My vision for contributing to the vibrant tapestry of Fuqua encompasses a seamless integration of personal experience, Fuqua resources, and meaningful interactions. So it's a well-written paragraph, but it doesn't say very much, and you don't have a lot of real estate here, right? It's a limited word count. So this is essentially, as I read this, a restatement of the question and telling me that where you did undergrad and what you're doing now, which I already know because I have your resume. So to me, this is a lost opportunity. This is stuff that I already know. And so you're not really telling me anything about yourself here except that you align with Fuqua, which hopefully you already do since you're applying to Fuqua. So I would say there's probably opportunity there to use these words in this space for more detailed information. In the second paragraph, we have Fuqua's dedication to student-led organizations resonates deeply with my aspiration to contribute to a dynamic and nurturing community. Through extensive conversations with current students and passionate alums, I have gleaned insights into the myriad of opportunities that Fuqua offers for leadership development. The Fuqua Technology Club's initiatives particularly piqued my interest, aligning perfectly with my background. Engaging with this club would not only allow me to contribute my technological acumen, but also collaborate with fellow students on projects that bridge the gap between innovation and business strategy. So in this paragraph, the author does have a specific club mentioned, the Fuqua Technology Club. But as I said before, I'm looking not only for what you're going to get out of this experience, but what you're going to bring. And I'm looking for specificity. If I'm reading this, I feel like you could change Fuqua to just about any other school, and that is still going to work. You tell me that you've spoken with current students and alums. I don't know who they are. I don't necessarily advocate that if you've spoken to 10 people that you give me all of their names. But it would be nice to have a name or two, particularly in this case, if you're interested in the tech club. Have you spoken to anybody at the tech club? That would be a way to make this stronger. You know, I spoke with the co-president of the tech club and spoke with them about an event that was going on that the tech club was hosting. That tells me a whole lot more. That tells me you've put in beyond just the first click on the website and you've reached out and you've engaged with our community. I think once again, there's a lot in here that we've already said. The dedication to student-led organizations sounds a lot to me like what was written in the first paragraph. So again, I think there's opportunity to just be more specific. So talk about either the club leadership, talk about some of the activities that go on at the tech club. And then if you are somebody who went to Caltech and are working at Google, What will you bring to that? Will you bring the professional network that you have developed and bring in a speaker to the tech club? Will you have the opportunity to share your experience with others who are looking to switch into tech? There's a real opportunity there, given what I know about this person's background from this essay, to really help me understand how you're going to make Fuqua a better place while also making more opportunities for yourself. In the next paragraph, the Fuqua experience is enriched by its robust network of alums who continue to play a pivotal role in shaping the school's culture. I'm eager to tap into this extensive network, engaging in candid conversations that offer diverse perspectives on careers, industries, and personal growth. By participating in events such as Fuqua Fridays and alum panel discussions, I hope to forge connections that extend beyond the classroom and into the professional world. These interactions will not only enable me to learn from seasoned professionals, but also contribute my insights from the dynamic tech landscape. All right, so we do have a couple of specifics mentioned here, and there is a mention of what you will bring back. But again, it is very high level. And it feels to me, I actually recognize some phrases in this paragraph from pages on our website. So I know you've read the website, so that's good. But to just sort of reiterate what is already there without original thought to it does not add as much value as if you told me, so you've mentioned Fuqua Friday. Do you know what that is? You're kind of talking about an alumni network. Yes, there might be alums at Fuqua Friday, but it's really a student networking event. I'm not sure that this person understands that. So you want to, again, go beyond just the surface level of the website, and you want to be specific. So Fuqua Fridays hosted by, on the evening of the brand challenge, which is hosted by the marketing club. I hope to participate in one of the brand challenges and learn something about the CPG industry, which is a place I don't have experience, but I have an interest. So that's a way that you could really get more specific. And not everything has to be, I spoke to these 3 people and they told me this, but we want to see that research reflected in the more specificity. All right. And then, sorry. A highlight of my Fuqua journey will undoubtedly be the mentorship opportunities that lie ahead. The Fuqua mentorship program, with its emphasis on personal growth and mutual support, aligns with my vision of fostering a culture of collaboration. I aspire to both seek guidance from experienced mentors and become a mentor to students who share a similar journey. By engaging in the thought-provoking discussions with mentors and mentees alike, I aim to foster an environment where knowledge flows freely, insights are shared generously, and personal growth is the ultimate goal. So again, I think there's a lot of restatement of the question here, and we're staying, again, very high level. The other thing that I do see this happen quite a bit. So I wasn't sure what the author meant when they said the Fuqua mentorship program. We have a lot of different programs, some which are mentoring, some which have the word mentoring in the subject or in the title of it. But I don't recognize the Fuqua mentorship program as something that we have at Fuqua. That may be what that program is called at another program, and we just switched out the name of the school. But if I'm having to go Google my own website to see what club is this person talking about, that's not the best. So make sure that that's specific. That could, for us, could be the mentored study in entrepreneurship. That could be the Fuqua client consulting practicum. It could be Fuqua to Duke, where our students, Fuqua students are mentoring Duke undergrad students. It could be an MMS mentorship program, which is a program between MBA students and our one-year Master's in Management Studies students. I don't know what the author means because, again, this is very high level. And then you can see in the final paragraph here, in essence, my journey from Caltech to Google has prepared me to dive headfirst into the vibrant tapestry of Fuqua's engagement-centric culture. And so this is, again, I'm not going to read the whole thing. I think most of you guys can see it here. But again, is sort of a reiteration of what has already been said in the essay and is very high level. You'll also note, I think, that in general, this essay is a very sort of typical structure with an opening paragraph, 3 supporting paragraphs, and a conclusion paragraph. So that's fine, but it doesn't have to be that way because, again, you don't have a lot of space if you're going to pack in more detail and more tying it to your passions and your interests. You don't need to have a full paragraph intro and a full paragraph conclusion that are restating what you've already said. It's short. So it is okay to start and end differently. It is okay to not follow a traditional essay writing. If that feels comfortable for you, great. But we want to make sure that you are being as specific as you can be and that you're demonstrating that research. So there are ways that you could improve this essay. Like I said, talk about, maybe reach out to the students at the tech club. We have student ambassadors listed on our website. So maybe talk to some of them about Fuqua Friday and see what's interesting about that to you. If you're interested in the alumni connections, maybe reach out to a couple of alums on LinkedIn and see what kind of response you get. And then you have the ability to say, I heard back from some alums who are interested in or working in the industry I'm interested in. I got some great insights about the courses that I can take and the faculty members who are doing research in this area. This is what I will plan to, these are the courses I'll plan to take. These are the companies that I will target while I'm recruiting and working with the Career Management Center. And these are the connections that I have to this industry that I can share with my classmates, those kinds of things. So I think, while this essay is well written, there's so much missed opportunity here in being able to demonstrate your research, genuine interest, and the IQ, EQ, DQ piece that we're really looking for across all of our students. So hopefully that is helpful to you guys. I know we've got some questions. We have a little bit of time, so I'm happy to answer questions that are already in the chat, or if you want to add something. And if you want to add a like, I know that would be much appreciated as well, so we can help others who are looking to find this information later after today, including yourselves. So there is a question here about how can Fuqua help a candidate transition to a different industry? Would you highlight the alumni network or robust curriculum? Yes, I would highlight both of those. I think that this essay that we talked about mentions the alumni network, and it is a very important part of the experience. It is a very important asset of any MBA program that you are looking for. But I haven't gotten recent statistics from the Career Management Center, but 5 years ago, it was 70% of people were switching careers. So I imagine it's at least 70, if not higher now. So there are a ton of structural resources in place to help people make the switch. So you would work with a Career Management Center staff person. You have an individual at the CMC, as we call it, who would work with you. Say you want to go into, I think I saw some questions about social impact. So say you want to switch from the industry you're in into social impact. Well, we have a sector director, they're called at the CMC, who work in the social impact space. You would work with them. You would work with your student career fellow. That's a second-year student who's just gone through the process that you will be starting as a first year, who can advise you and share their experience, give you feedback on your resume, help you identify companies to target. The CMC and the career fellow together will work with that. Part of your search may be on-campus recruiting. It may be alumni networking. It may be networking with current students. But the resources are all there for you to take advantage of. And when we look at the curriculum, Fuqua is a little bit different than a lot of schools in that we are set up into term structures instead of semesters. So we have 4 6-week terms in a year. The courses themselves are 2.5 hours in class. You're actually in class the same amount of time that you are in a semester format, but you get there faster. And so that gives you a lot of flexibility in your experience to take classes that are interesting to you. They might be something different that you weren't thinking about pursuing, or you can go very deeply into a subject area. And that will really help you if you're looking to switch careers, get broad exposure faster and deeper exposure over the course of your MBA if you're looking to make that switch. And so very practically, let's say you're coming in, I think the question was someone who's in teaching or in ed tech, in either of those cases. So you are taking the core classes of the MBA program in those first 2 terms. In what we call spring 1, which is technically your 3rd term, you are already able to start taking electives. So you can already start taking some of the courses. Say you want to go into brand, right? So you can start taking advanced marketing classes so that when you go into your summer internship, you have already had more exposure to the advanced subject material that someone coming from a semester-based system may not yet have had the chance to take because they were still taking their core classes. That allows you to perform better in that summer internship, to get more out of it, to increase chances of a full-time offer from an internship, and or to broaden your network and sort of your net worth to a recruiter in the CPG space, if that's what you are looking to do. So I do think that is a combination of the CMC, the resources, as well as the curriculum. Let's see. Okay. So here's a question on timing. Is it worth it to do a full-time MBA when you're 34 years old? And would you consider such candidates? So we look at everybody as a very unique situation. The question really there is, what's the right time? And we have students who come with a year of full-time work experience, and we have people who come with 12, 13, 14, 15 years or more of full-time work experience. It honestly depends on what you want to do. There is the sort of opportunity cost, right, of leaving the workforce for 2 years to pursue a full-time MBA. But if you are looking to make a change, if you are, say you're an engineer now and you want to be in investment banking, that's going to be difficult to do without stopping and completely pivoting through an MBA. So we have plenty of students who have 12, 13, 14 years of work experience. The average of our class is about 6.5 years. So you'll find people across the spectrum. It does depend on your individual case. Now, at Fuqua, we do offer 2 executive MBA programs. If you're like, you know what, I just want to advance my career, I want to stay in this industry and do a slight pivot, that you might want to consider as well. But we have plenty of people who are in that situation who do consider a full-time MBA, and we do admit them every year. So let's see. How much does Fuqua appreciate EQ along with IQ? So much. I mean, the answer is tremendously. There are so many people who apply to all business schools who are incredibly academically well qualified. That sort of has to be the expectation of that is the baseline. So the real differentiator above can this person complete the coursework successfully is this someone who I want to be around? Is this someone who will live by the values that Fuqua supports, which is using business for a force for good, and really contributing to larger society through business as a force. So I would argue that IQ is the baseline, and the EQ and DQ are the differentiators in the process. So we value it very much. Let's see. Okay. Thank you for your comments. I am looking through to see what else we've got. So this, I think I've sort of mentioned this earlier. I see Jude asking the question, and I have to say the name because that's my son's name as well. So advice to students who are interested in social impact as opposed to MBA industry. I would say in my 17 years at Fuqua, that's probably been one of 2 or 3 of the fastest growing areas of interest for our students. And so there are a ton of opportunities. So we do have a CMC staff member who focuses on the social impact. We have faculty in the area. If you have seen any research by Kathy Clark, she is a leading expert in impact investing. And then CASE, the Center for the Advancement of Social Entrepreneurship, is one of our impact fellows or impact scholars opportunities. Engage with CASE, engage with the faculty members. The Student Club of Net Impact, which is sort of the affiliated social impact nonprofit student club, is the largest club on campus. Even students who don't want to work in that industry want to be involved in it. So I would say if you're looking to switch into social impact, make those connections. Particularly look at CASE. You can go to our website and look them up. They have tons of resources, student stories, and programs that they run that you can read about there. But it's absolutely doable from Fuqua, and there are lots of ways to have social impact too. I think there's some companies like Patagonia and Tom's and Nike that have very socially minded divisions. There are nonprofits, there are startups, there are government positions. So there's a ton of opportunity, and I think you would find lots and lots of resources to support an interest in social impact post MBA. Let's see. So here's a question that I do get sometimes as well. Should you use the optional essay if you're planning to do a second MBA? Yes, I would. We don't have a ton of people every year who are doing that, but sometimes there are individuals who have a degree that is called an MBA from another school that maybe isn't an equivalent to a full-time US-based MBA. And if that is the situation that you're in, I would use the optional essay to address that. Let's see, a question about optional elective workshop and managerial improvisation. Super fun class. It is in the break between fall 2 and spring 1. And it is a course that is offered, I think it's a week, it may be longer, that really teaches you to think on your feet, that teaches tools for how to answer a Q&A session, for example, how to react to unanticipated questions, how to present ideas in a way that get other people's attention. And it's a ton of fun, and it pushes a lot of people out of their comfort zones, but I think that the benefits of it are great. And we've done it as an admissions team, and I found it to be probably one of the best executive education classes, which was how we did it, that I've ever had, because it does sort of make you comfortable with being uncomfortable, and be successful in no matter what the environment is. So it's a really fun experience. So let's see. Oh, we got a lot of questions. I will probably answer just a couple more because I know we're close to our time. So another question around, okay, if I are on the other end of the work spectrum, you've only got 3 years of work. Yeah, again, we have people who have a year of work experience or less. It really is, as you noted, it is about quality over quantity. If you have achieved everything that you feel like you can in your current role, if there is a requirement that you complete an MBA, if it's just like, you know what, I've decided what I'm doing I love and I want to advance, or I've decided what I'm doing I don't love and I want to do something else. What we're going to look for in our earlier career candidates is, have you had an impact in the time that you have been working? Do you understand the value of an MBA, and are your career goals clear and your path clear? So definitely that is an opportunity. Or we do admit students who have 3 years of work, 2 years of work, 1 year of work. Okay, I'm going to look for one more that I haven't answered yet, and then we'll wrap up. Let's see. Okay, can I be more specific? Oop, it just got out of my way. Can I be more specific about my passion, even though it doesn't have a lot of mentions at Fuqua? Okay, so that's a great question. So that is really like, okay, say I'm interested in something that may be very niche or something, and Fuqua doesn't talk about it a lot, right? But if you can see what the resources are at Fuqua that could support, so in this case, the question is around microeconomics or Islamic finance, reach out to us, talk to the finance professors, look at the clubs. The students at Fuqua have so many varied interests. And when you look at, for example, our employment report, there's sort of an other section where people will tell you statistically, this is how many people go into consulting and finance and what have you. And then there's always this other section. But then the buckets themselves are very broad. So you might actually be surprised that somebody does have a very specific or similar interest to you. So in those cases, I would say reach out to the clubs that seem to be related to what you're interested in. Reach out to admissions and ask us questions like, is this something that someone at Fuqua is doing research on? Is there some way that I can connect? We are always looking to make a diverse class, and people with diverse interests bring a lot to the community. So anything that you are passionate about, no matter how niche or how broad, you should share with us. We would love to hear about it. It can make you very unique, and we would love to learn about that. Okay, I think that we're pretty much at the end of our time. I will just ask again, as the channel says, if you found this helpful, would love for you to like the video and subscribe to the channel. It'll help people, again, to find this information in the future. If you have questions for Fuqua, you are welcome to reach out to us. We have a central email. It is admissions-info@fuqua.duke.edu. That is the fastest way to reach us because multiple people can open that inbox and you're going to get a response faster than an individual email. But my name is Allison Jamison. You are welcome to put in the email. Please forward this to Allison or mention that you attended today's session, and we'll be happy to answer any follow-up questions that you have. So Thank you all very much, and thank you for joining us today. We'll look forward to your Fuqua application and learning more about you through your essays.